Welcome, everybody, to Wife Tribe Wednesday Workshop. I am so excited that we get a chance to be able to do this again.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have the Larkins back, and we're really excited because we are going in about relationships, marriages, singlehood. We have so many questions for Doc Love and his beautiful wife. So I'm just so excited. From the website, it's going to be singleblackdatingtips.com. Doc Love is the founder of singleblackdatingtips.com. So I'm just so excited about it. Let's just go right into it. So, Doc Love, just give us a little background of how you started the website and how you became a relationship coach.
Yes. Basically, I started the website about 2013 originally, and it was just something in me. God was moving me to just talk more about relationships and the things that I had gone through as a single person. And it just moved me to start doing blogs because at the time that was kind of popular to do, to get the word out and just get a positive message out about relationships and trying to teach through the lessons that I had learned and the experiences I had and friends had and all of that in dating. So that was basically the crux of it. And, fast forward to now, it's just still trying to get that message out, especially, to our people that are, looking for love, people that, Christ led as well as just trying to find that perfect mate. So anything that we could do, with the website and just with our mission of bringing love to people, that's what we're about.
That is awesome. So you mentioned, your personal dating experience. What type of experiences as a black man did you have in the dating world while you were single?
Yeah, basically, like most guys, there were, the highs and lows. You might meet someone and you feel pretty good about things and feel like it's going to go somewhere, and then things kind of fall off, and sometimes you kind of get distracted, or I don't want to say distracted, but just dismayed by things not working out, and you're looking for that one, and just it's not happening. And basically, for me, my website and the work that I was doing actually was therapeutic for me, and it helped me
Mhm.
really to find Michelle. And I that's why I'm a big strong person on in having this type of information so that people can help themselves find who it is that they're supposed to be with and help connect with God, and let God lead them to the person that God wants them to be with.
That is awesome. So let me ask you a question. Why do you think so many people struggle in this day and age with commitment? Commitment is such um a word that a lot of males I know I've known and seen, they don't like to really use that. They try to stay away from it. Why do you think that is?
I believe, commitment. One, it's two things to it, I guess. And there's the part of it of, yes, I'm making a commitment, a long term agreement with someone that I'm going to, let's say, be faithful and do all the things that that person would expect me to do. And sometimes, people just feel like, with all of the pressures and all of the different things that are going on out here in the world, if they can just stand up to that. But I think another thing too is finding someone that they feel compelled to be committed to. Someone
Mm,
that they see qualities in that person that says, "Hey, this is somebody I know that I could spend the rest of my life with. We're going to grow together. We're going to build together. We're going to go through things together." And the principles and the beliefs and all of that will be there to allow for someone to stay not just committed, but stay committed in love and stay committed in trust and stay committed and rooted in that relationship and be able to grow with each other. And as the relationship change, they're able to change. So it's really about finding that person that you can be committed to, knowing that it's going to be changes that you're going to have in your relationship and work that you will have to do. So just being
mm.
able to have someone that's willing to do that work as well, that's I think that's the root of really being committed.
Mm-hmm. And your personal experience of being a single man, do you think it was hard when you were out on a dating scene to really find somebody that you were really? How long were you single? Let's answer that first. How long were you single?
Uh, let's just say I got married at age 46. So I was
Okay.
out there for a while,
Okay,
unfortunately.
okay, okay. So, that I love that you said that because so many people, we have a lot of women and men that's in their late 20s or in their early 30s, and they just feel like, oh, it's over,
Right,
and you can
right.
find your spouse in your 40s, and that's a
Exactly.
possibility. So you don't have to give up hope because you haven't found them at the age that everybody say, I guess, you're supposed to
Exactly. Exactly.
find a spouse that God will send a person when he's ready, to
Exactly.
send you that person. So I love that you said that. So throughout that process of you being single those years, was it really hard for you to find the quality women? Did you really see more quality women out there, or did it was something that you really didn't see that often?
Yeah, actually, for me, I really felt like, personally, it's where you are as far as you being a
Hmm.
person, your
Hmm.
value system, your beliefs. So I did meet quality women. And
Hmm.
so it's no, I believe there's a lot of quality women out there, just like it's a lot of quality men out there.
Right.
The thing is, it's a difference between finding a quality woman and finding your wife. And
Oh, you
so,
better say that.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So even though you have, unique quality women, to me, it was like God, didn't want me to be with them. So things would, kind of creep into the relationship that would just let me know that this may not be meant for me. And so when it was right for me, that's when I knew it was, almost like, immediately after Michelle and I started dating again, I knew, okay, this is the person that God wanted me to be with. So
mm.
it's that that thing, and I think Michelle wants to chime in for that as
Oh,
well.
Yeah.
go ahead. Yes, yes,
Uh,
chime in.
well, I just wanted to chime in. We actually dated about 16 or 17 years
Yeah.
ago.
Okay.
So we dated probably for about a year and a half or so during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always known that D'Artagnan was a great guy. In fact, I knew that he had all of the qualities of being my husband, even during that
Mhm.
time that we were dating. At that time, it wasn't the right time. We
Mhm.
weren't where we needed to be, um, in a healed state that each of us needed to be the best version of ourselves for each other at that time. So when we reconnected, then that's when the first conversation we had, it was truly just a reconnection. It was just good to talk to him. I don't know how far into the story y'all want me to go, but I was had newly gained certification to do Sisterlock, and so his sister, among other women that I had done hair, they were wanting me to do their Sisterlocks, but I couldn't because I wasn't certified. But I would style their hair, and so after I got the certification, I was just calling around all the different women, letting them know, and that's when I called his sister, and we always had a good relationship. She was always really sweet and nice, and when we first started dating, and so she was asking me about my at that time, my late husband. She was saying, how is he doing and how's my family? And that's when I told her that he had passed 2 years ago, and she was just giving her condolences, and she then shot her shot. And she was like, well, I'm sure that D'Artagnan would love to give his condolences and catch up with you and stuff. And I was not dating, and I was basically going through therapy, grief counseling, different things like that. And I was in a really good emotional and mental state. And I thought I was so happy to just hear that he was doing well. And I was like, sure. So that first conversation we had, he called me the next day, and he asked to speak to me, and I was like, this is she. And then we just started laughing, and it was like instantly. Yeah. It was like, it didn't feel awkward, it didn't feel forced, it didn't feel weird. It just was really nice to catch up, to have a conversation with him. And we basically started a friendship. Yeah. And that friendship just went into, and then that second conversation we had, that was the conversation that impressed me. Because when I saw after the years how much he had grown, already being a very respectable, respectful person, but seeing the relationship that he had with God, and hearing what his expectations were for marriage, like that's the conversation we had the second day. And this not even being in a dating situation. We were just very transparent with each other, and he was just telling me his expectations of marriage, what he is going to offer in his marriage, and what he expected his wife to offer. And those things aligned with what I believe in, my values, and it impressed me. It sparked that thing to say, wow, like not only is he still has the essence of who he has always been, but to see this next level of spirituality and maturity, it just was really, really a breath of fresh air. And I knew that something was really special in this. Yeah. So kind of piggybacking off of what D'Artagnan was saying, as far as men, I truly believe that when a man finds his wife, there would be no question in his mind that he would move forward with her. A lot of times, I just feel like people do not get committed into things when they know that they just aren't for them, you know.
Say it again.
And that won't stop that person from wasting your time or dating you for a few years.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you may not be a bad person. He just know that you're not his wife, you know? And one thing about it, and we as women may not like it, is that, you know, the scripture says that he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Mm-hmm. But that comes with an underlining thing that woman has to bring, and that means she has to already be a wife. So when that man sees her, he will recognize her as his wife. So there's the work that the woman must do, and the man, you know, I would hope that he recognizes her as his wife, because he's done some work to know what his role is, what his job is. So he's not really figuring that out, and hopefully that woman realizes that she is not figuring it out either. She's already a wife, because whatever that's done in the spirit is done in the spirit, and then it comes into fruition into the natural. Mm-hmm. So the fruits of the spirit and things that woman has in her that makes her a wife, that doesn't just happen while she's dating someone. She's already cultivated that in her relationship with God.
And I'd like to also add that in that 14-year period, we didn't speak. No. It wasn't one of those situations where, you know, we stayed in touch with each other and we, you know, bantered over email. You know, there was a clean break when it did happen. But and I think that's very important for people to know and understand that really a lot of times we find people that try to keep ties and things of that nature. And to me, that's not a positive thing. It was positive that we both, you know, broke our ties and we moved on, but it made us respect each other when we came back together. And so that's something I really wanted to point out, that it wasn't like, oh, you know, I was still emailing her while she was married or whatever. We had absolutely no contact for about 14 years. But even though we didn't, when we did have that first conversation, it was just like you know, we never stopped talking. But I really wanted to point out how important that is, that we do need to understand that, you know, it is important that when relationships are over, you know, to end those relationships, because that really allows for, you know, the true nature of what your relationship, you know, is to come out. If it's meant to be, then if it's a clean break and it comes back together, it really was meant to be.
Yeah, and it doesn't create situationships, and that's what everybody is talking about now. It's like it's complicated. It's a situationship. It really should never be a situationship. If that relationship is not right for you at that moment, like D'Artagnan say, you have to be honest, and you have honest with yourself, honest with each other, and you have to say, okay, this just doesn't work for us. I still respected him even after we broke up in our relationship. It just really wasn't the right time. Right. And, you know, I still respected him. Even when I talked about him, you know, I still said that I know that he is going to make a good husband to somebody. And I was speaking that for myself. I didn't know. But it ending that and making a clean break of it, you like D'Artagnan said, it helps you to still have that respect for that person. That person, a person who's not your person, shouldn't be able to get that access into your life. You know, just like people don't have access into your home unless they live there, unless you invite them. People can continue to come in and out of your life if they're not the person to make that commitment to you. And a lot of times we muddy the waters and we make and create situationships because we don't have what my husband talks about a lot is the courage. You know, my husband, he says a lot that people have discernment and they know the right thing to do, but you have to have the courage to actually do those things. And then now we have something beautiful where nothing was tainted in our relationship because we were honest with ourselves and we did the right thing.
I absolutely love this. Jessica, do you have any questions or you want to chime in really quickly before we move forward?
Y'all said a lot. Minutes that I wanted to come back to, but I think it's really important to pause here and emphasize what you all are saying to women who will be watching this, because a lot of people don't really understand the situationships they have created, the patterns that are in their dating life, and how that's contributing to what they have or don't have right now. If you don't go back and mature, get yourself cleaned up, get right, it's just like in the Old Testament when God, you couldn't just come before God with all your impurities. So you had to go and purify yourself. You had to go clean yourself up before you present it. So you have to go through this purification phase, and you really have to let go and repent of the things that, maybe patterns you've had. Make clean breaks with people. Ain't no, they can come back and slide in the DMs or slide back in the text messages after 6 months and not talk. You know what I'm saying? Because people have to really evaluate, why are you entertaining that? There's a reason as to why you're entertaining somebody who you ain't talked to in 6 months and y'all not together. But now because you bored, you want to have something to do. Like, if you're really trying to get to a goal here, like, let's be for real. Are you really trying to get to this goal of being married? You're saying it, but your actions don't add up.
Exactly.
You have to do a lot of self-evaluating. They say they want to date and they're trying to find somebody. Ain't nobody good out there, and these people don't want to commit, but it's like y'all said, it's reasons to everything. If somebody not committing, it's a sign. Let them go and let's move on. But it was a lot that you all said, but I did want to make that comment because people don't. You only hear one side of what people report, but there's a whole picture that's got to be put together because it's something happening, or something wasn't right.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you would,
And to that end, it's interesting. I love everything that you said because you're right on time. There needs to be, a purification period that you have to go through. But also, I wanted to add that a lot of times we have to understand that if we have a lot of these situationships and all these things happening, it first starts with the common denominator of you. Right. You have to take accountability of saying these things are happening to me. So I have to take accountability for my actions, and I have to look at the things that I have done throughout my life. Me and my wife were talking about reaping and sowing, and people don't understand that, what you sow, the seeds that you sow in your relationship life is going to be what you reap later on and things of that nature. So people have to understand, if I want to reap a wonderful harvest of having someone to love me and care for me or what have you, I need to sow that on the front end. And a lot of times what we do is in our younger days, we want to do what we want to do and play around with people and play around with their heart and play around, and have, our fun, and then think, okay, well, when I, get in my 30s or whatever, now I'll get serious. Well, to me, you sowed those seeds that now you're going to reap in your 30s and your 40s. So you really need to be careful about the seeds that you sow, the relationship seeds that you sow, because you're going to reap that harvest. And oftentimes when you reap it, it's going to be at the time when you really are looking for your husband. It's like, I want my boys now, I want my whatever. But how were you treating people 10, 15 years ago when you had it going on, when you were the hot thing? Were you treating people great or were you treating people bad? And then we have to understand that now we're just reaping what we sowed, so many years ago. So, and also with purification, I have to say this. We are huge advocates on healing. Yes. we believe that relationship healing is one of the most important things that you have to go through. And I please allow me to tell a story, because I really want people to understand this. Back in the day, how relationships a lot of times were handled by, you know, our great grandmothers or whatever is, let's just take, for example, they, you know, were dating somebody named James for like 2 years. And so let's say that relationship didn't work out or it ended. And let's just say Bob was interested in her and found out that her and James had broken up. Well, Bob might go shoot his shot. But how our elders used to handle it is they would say to Bob, listen, Bob, you seem like a great guy and all, but I just got out of a relationship with James, and I need time to heal from that. And I need time to get myself back to the lady that I was 100%, because I not only owe that to myself, but I owe it to you, that I'm able to give 100% to you, Bob, like I gave to James. And that's the beauty of healing. When you heal, you get yourself back. You know, that purification period you were speaking of, you get yourself back to the essence of who you are. And that's the main reason why you can continue to love and love that next person the same way you love the previous person.
Right.
You have to get that healing. And when you heal yourself, then yes, you can go 100% into the next relationship. You're not carrying all that baggage. You're not carrying all of that extra stuff that you're going to put on somebody else because of the last relationship you were in, or even the first relationship you were in back in college and how he did you. You cleaned yourself, you know, and cleansed yourself of that and purified yourself of that. And now you're saying to this person, I'm coming to you whole and healthy. Now let's have a relationship on that level. And to me, relationships work out much better if they were done that way.
Right.
Yes, you are right.
And I want to say this one thing, because I guess I have, I probably have been, I don't know. I agree totally with D'Artagnan. And what's so crazy is it doesn't matter. I've been divorced. I got married when I was 19. Was married for about a year and a half, and due to infidelity on his part, we divorced. I've been widowed. I was married for over 10 years, and due to a drunk driver killing my late husband, I became a young widow. And now I'm happily married to my husband now, and expect to spend the rest of our lives together. But it doesn't matter which situation you are in, that purification process that Artana is talking about, that grieving and mourning process of ending a marriage, a marriage ending due to death, or the ending of relationships. We all have experienced or can experience these different things, but you still have to go through that purification process and learning, you know, what God was showing me. Was he preventing me from getting into this relationship or this marriage? Was he trying to, since I did it anyway, if he told me not to, what could I learn from it? At first, with my first husband that, you know, cheated, that was what it was all about. He was a cheater. He cheated. And I was a victim. I was going through a process of mourning. Right? Most people who have gotten divorced would say that when you divorce, it does feel like a death, you know, to a certain degree. Until I actually became a widow, and I was like, oh, there's nothing like that. But the thing is, if I never gone through that purification process and that learning process to say, Michelle, I understand that he cheated, but what could you have done differently? Were you the best wife that you could have been? I wasn't. I had a lot of childhood issues. I had a lot of anger issues. I would curse him out. I remember throwing something at him one time, like just craziness. And, you know, having negative beliefs and feelings about men. You know, if you're seeing men cheat and then you get cheated on, and then, you know, it's like, see, these men, they da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, you, again, like D'Artagnan was saying, you're sowing that seed. Your expectation is that there are no good men. These men, they cheaters. They don't know how to be faithful. I had to stop that. I mean, there's a time and a season for you to feel like you're the victim and feel, you know, go through your mourning process. That's fine. That's fine, but let's not stay there. Let's do the work within ourselves to say, what could I have done? And when you are looking at yourself, you put no responsibility on anybody else when you're doing the work for yourself. You just have to look at what you could have done, because we can't fix the other person. Like I divorced him, so there's no reason for me to leave and look at what he did. It's time for me to look at myself. And because I got that healing, because I saw now I can be a better wife. When I got married to my late husband, I was a better wife than what I was in that first marriage. And then now, at this stage, in this point of my life, I am the best version of myself. I was able to be the very best wife I can be to my husband, sitting beside me. So, and I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm still in a growing. I'm still in a healing process. But now I can give him peace. Now I can listen not to respond, or listen not to rebuttal, but I can listen to understand my husband, so that we can communicate, and he communicates well with me. I communicate well with him. I think 6 months into our marriage, we had to sit down and talk about communication, because, we like to believe that everybody just gets along and you never disagree about things. But 6 months into our marriage, we had a talk, and we were like, okay, this is what works best for me in communication. He was like, this is what works best for me. And now we're able to communicate better.
Exactly.
But that comes from doing the work, right? That comes from not just blaming people for what they did, because I could be 10 years talking about ain't got no good men out here, and not married, and not happy, and not, and not fulfilled in my marriage. But it's also sowing negative words. Those words become life. When you keep saying that, and you have so much passion and emotion when you say it, then you turn around and say, but God, you're going to give me my husband. Well, that has no emotion. Your emotion was in that negative stuff that you were talking about, and you're giving life to that. So a lot of times it's not getting healing, but it's also our words. They're life, and they either give you life or they give you death. So as Christians, or people who believe in the word, or people who believe in, putting good out there into the environment, you have to speak life to yourself if you want life. Life in your marriage if you want life.
Yes, that's a critical point that I just want to make really quickly, because there are a lot of people who are in the tribe that are divorced, or that are going through struggles in their marriage. And I think it's a key point. This is something that Aaron and I both learned. We took Radical Love before we both got married. Like, it's a critical point for people to understand your spouse is not the problem. Just because they may have done or do certain things doesn't make them the problem. It's not all them. And so if you never evaluate for yourself, where could I have done, where can I do better, or where could I have done wrong, you stay in the same pattern. And I respect people who have been married before and can say, you know what, that divorce, like, if I could have been more patient, I could have been more kind, I could have done X, Y, and Z. When they have taken the time to heal and go back through that evaluation process, they are much better for that next marriage, because they did the work, like you're saying. But people don't. Oh my goodness, we all have had those people who just complain about their ex. Like, you still never went through any type of healing process. Like, sis, it's not just him. It was you too. Like, you was in the marriage too. And that is such a dangerous place to stay in. I don't care what relationship you were in. There was something that either you were being, could be like ignorant about, or you were ignoring, or there was, what I'm saying? It is not just one person's fault. And even people who are married and struggling, it's not just that one person's fault. There are things that you have to do to work on yourself, to improve yourself. Maybe you can speak more kindly, even if that person isn't speaking kindly. You communicate, even if they're not communicating. You do the right thing and let God work on them. He will do that work. So I just wanted to point that out before we move to the next question, because that was good.
Yeah, exactly. That beautifully said. And one thing I want to add to that, if you don't mind, like you were saying, you said that so beautifully, is that we have to understand that the work that we have to do on ourselves.
That's
We
right.
have to understand that no matter what, if there's a situation, we have to look at ourselves first. We have to say, okay, am I doing everything that I'm supposed to do? God, are you, are you, is it something that I need to learn? A lot of times people will say, why do I keep meeting the same type of people over and over again?
Yes.
And to me, it's because God is trying to show you something that you need to work on and fix.
Right. It's a
It's that
reflection.
you need to fix something, and He's going to keep showing you the same type of person until you figure out what it is and fix it so that you can take yourself to another level. And I want to, if you don't mind, allow me to say this. That's what I think is missing in relationships right now. People don't understand how relationships work, and especially how the ending of relationships work and how you're supposed to handle that. And I think because of that, we're having an issue where so many people have failures in their relationship because they don't understand that when you're in a relationship, a lot of times it's a teaching process. This is one of the ways that you learn what you need to know to better yourself so that you can be that person you need to be for the husband that you ultimately want. So we don't look at it that way. We're not looking at it like, okay, this relationship is really my grounds for learning so I could be a better wife or be a better husband. But that's really what it is. So when the relationship ends, what do? We get upset with the person that, no matter what it was, it could have been he cheated, or it could have been he came to me talking about I don't do enough for him. But whatever the case may be, you have to always look at that as there's nothing you can really do about that person. They're the teacher. You have to understand it's about you. Every relationship is for you to learn and to grow from. And you have to take that time, that process, and say, okay, God, what was it that you wanted me to learn from this relationship? How did you want me to grow from this? I can't worry about what that person did or, what have you, because, hey, that's that person. That person has moved on. The way I like to liken it is, it's like being in school. If you're in the 4th grade, you have to understand that the teacher's there to teach you. They're going to give you homework. They're going to give you classwork. They're going to give you assignments. But the thing is to pass the test. If you don't pass the test, then we got to take you through that same grade again because you didn't learn what you needed to learn to take yourself to the next level. And it's about leveling up, as the new, young folks say. It is about leveling up, but it's about leveling up in your learning of what relationships, how to better your relationship, the things you need to learn and grow and do so that you could be better ultimately to level up to the husband that you want.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love it. I love it. And oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
And like my husband, he in our conversations, like he said, so many people they fall apart. If a relationship doesn't work, they're devastated. And
Right.
it's like it's not for you to be devastated,
Mhm.
And me and my husband talk about this a lot. We talk a lot about courtship because what people are considered dating nowadays is nothing like what courtship really is. And I know it sounds old fashioned and outdated and all that stuff, but that's really what we did. And we did it without even really calling it courtship, but we literally talked on the phone for a month before we even started dating. So dating, so to speak, or being in a relationship. And so people going out on these dates and going out to eat and feeling like they're getting wined and dined and not really learning anything about these people. They jump into a relationship and then they get their heart broken. But why is your heart so broken? Because you've invested so much of yourself before you actually found out that this person may or may not be for you. And so my husband, that's something that he was telling me when we were talking about relationships, is how relationships aren't supposed to devastate you. But for a lot of times for us women, when the relationship doesn't work, we're devastated. It was just supposed to teach us. And so stop investing so much of your body, so much of yourself into something where you're just supposed to be friendly, getting to know each other. And then when the next level comes around and you have now committed into a monogamous relationship, you know enough about this person and you know that your values and your standards and the way you think are very similar. So now you can move into something even greater. And more than likely that relationship may actually end up in marriage because you both actually know each other. But if
Right.
you give yourself to a person very quickly,
Mm.
you know, this person tramples on your heart, so to speak. Yeah, you're gonna feel
Mhm.
devastated because you're gonna feel used and you're gonna feel, like you were taken advantage of. But we have to get back into really getting to know each other and the deeper things about each other. You know,
Mhm.
not what's your favorite color. No, we don't need to be asking those questions. We need to be asking, some really, really deep things to really get to know each other.
That is awesome that you said that, because I'm going to go right into some of the dating tips that you have in your ebook. So I have about three or four of them that I'm going to say, and I just want you to explain exactly what do you mean and why it's important throughout the dating process. So one was cultivate your innermost gift. That was one of the dating tips.
Say
Say
it
it
one more
again.
time.
Yeah.
Cultivate your innermost gifts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Basically, that one is about. It goes back to
Mhm.
a lot of times we, men, of course, we're physical creatures, and of course, meeting someone initially physically, that's what you're going to be attracted to. But it
Mhm.
has to be much deeper than that. And a
Mhm.
lot of times it seems like a lot the deeper innermost things are not being cultivated, or it's like that's on the back burner. And it's interesting that you said that, because there are a few ones that I can point out that, to me, for your listeners, that they could say, okay, am I this way in my relationship with the person that I'm with, or my husband even? And if not, then maybe these are some things that I can work on. And I'll go through them right now for you.
Okay.
First one would be, am I non-combative? Am I, non-argumentative? Is it we are fighting all the time, or I'm starting something with him.
Mhm.
Second one, am I accountable? Am I
Mhm.
being accountable in the relationship? Am I being accountable to the things that I've done or contributed to this situation that may not be healthy? Am I a peaceful person? Do I bring peace to the home? Do I bring peace, to him? Does he feel like when I walk, in, or I'm with my person, I can walk in peace with that person? Am I a positive person? Is positivity? Am I always looking for the bright things, the best things, and always speaking positive to that person, and being someone that's going to always say positive things, and reinforce a positive way of looking at things. Also, am I someone that's supportive? That's very important a lot of times to men, because we want to know just as much as we'll support our wives, that we need that support as well in the things that we do. And, someone that's not selfish, someone that's willing to share, so
Good.
an unselfish person. So, I mean, those are some of the innermost things that, people can take from this and say, okay, am I these things? And if not, where can I start? I need to start now developing some of those things and bringing that to the relationship. And that's for both men and women. I know this, it's wife tribe, but, these are things for both men and women.
Mhm.
And it's also to say that we would want, I think every woman would want those things from her man as well. So if she's, challenged with, oh, that sounds like a long list, and that sounds like a lot of things, but think about it. You want your man to be supportive. You want him to be positive. You definitely want him to be accountable. So the very things that you're asking for, make sure that you are those things as well.
I
Yeah.
love that you said that, because society is pushing for women to be takers and to be selfish and to think about themselves and get
Yeah.
what you can get from a
Yeah.
man, and they're not about sharing.
Right.
They're not about, they don't care if they have peace. So the things that's being taught out there, how the world is teaching about relationships and marriage, is the opposite of the way that God wants us to have our marriages and relationships. So I'm very glad that you explained that, those innermost gifts, that is so critical in a relationship.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
women have to understand that it's more, they have to bring more than beauty.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
a lot of times, so many, when women are single, and I was like that before, oh, as long as my body's tight, I'm fine. And you don't understand that you have to bring so much more to the table. Can you be that man's piece? Can you be
Yes.
supportive? What else can you bring to the table outside of, visual things?
Right.
Even though
And,
men are visual creatures, but they need substance. So, um, I love that
yeah.
you said that.
You know
So,
what?
I know
Oh,
you're
oh,
gonna get to another question, but I want to say this too. But
okay.
those are the types of things that will be the difference between a man saying, "Oh, I'll kick it with her for a while and I'll
Okay.
marry her."
You better say
Knowing
it.
that she's supportive, knowing that she's unselfish, knowing that she's non-combative, knowing that she's peaceful. Those are some of the traits that will say to a man, "Hey, I think I want to be with this woman, not just be with her for a minute. I really want to spend my life with her."
Yeah.
And another thing that you said, the world. We are so full of world right now, but the Bible said, "Be ye of the world, be ye in the world, but not
Yes.
of it." And
Yes.
we're just so much of the world right now. It's like we live for the world, and we have to get out of that. We got to start living for God, and that's
Yes.
when all things will change around for us. But we got to get back to living for God and having that godly love for each other, so that we can have the unity that we need in the relationships that we need.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead, Jessica.
good. No, I was going to even challenge what you said towards the end about a lot of people always say that term about men being visual creatures, and like it's true, but it's not true at the same time. Like everybody's a visual creature because we all have, like, you know what I'm saying, those who have eyes to see can see. And I don't think there's any woman who doesn't, look at their spouse or person they're dating in an attractive way to see, you know what I'm saying, to measure that attraction. So I get what people mean by it, but like sometimes we give a lot of men so much credit as though they're only looking visually versus
Exactly.
not really evaluating. Like they're looking at your motives too. They evaluating your character as well. Like they're
Exactly.
not just for the
Exactly.
what you can
Yeah.
see visually, they're also what you can see spiritually too. And you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
mentally, like they can see a lot of things, not just physical, aspects of women. So
Yeah, and I love that because that's his decision between, like you said, who I'm gonna kick it with and who I'm gonna
right.
marry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another.
I'm
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
And I just wanted to add that and women think that men are just looking at that when they're with you, but men are looking at that when you're walking in the
Mhm.
park or you having lunch together, you having dinner together. He's looking at how you treat the waitress, how you
Yes.
treat
Yes.
other people, how you treat the elderly people that come by, how you, I mean, Miss So and So, can I help you, or something like that, and that's the reason why it's not about focusing on how I'm gonna get this man or how I'm gonna get my husband. It's really truly working on yourself,
Yeah.
because you're gonna be loving, kind, nurturing, patient, sober, temperament. You're gonna act like that, not just with your husband, but that is gonna be something that you are going to extend to your children, what you extend to your neighbor, what you extend to the people that surround you. You know, I think we're in a microwave society, this worldly microwave society, that people just want to know a play by play of how I can get the man, how I can get the husband, how I can get the bag, how I can get blah, 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 blah. But it's not about that. It's about you truly being transformed with who you are as a
Yeah.
person, being a good, decent, godly person. And then you're not only just going to attract your husband, which is one of the greatest gifts that God has given me, but you're going to attract positive friends. You're going to attract people who are a blessing to you, because you have changed you as a woman.
Good.
I was 15, 16-year-old. I tell people about this story about I was praying and fasting for God to make me a virtuous woman. I had seen a lot of examples of marriage, and not the best examples of marriage, well, not the marriage that I want, because I wanted a very loving, kind, peaceful marriage. And so I knew that if I didn't see the examples, it had to come from somewhere. So I sought the counsel of God, and I started praying and fasting. And he led me to Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman, talking about what she embodies, who she is as a woman. You know,
Mhm.
how her family call her blessed. She's blessed wherever she go. Her husband loves her, adores her. She honors and respects her husband. She's an entrepreneur, but she's not about one of these boss women that they're talking about in the world. She's a woman
Mhm.
that's modest and sober. She's a
Yes,
woman
ma'am.
who is a blessing to her family. You know, she's not useless. She's just not sitting around, getting all the luxuries of life and just on a pedestal. But at the same
Mhm.
time, she doesn't have to be hard and pinned down and like a slave either. She's a woman who has value. She brings value to her husband, to her family.
Mhm.
And and really studying and meditating on what that woman, who she is and what she embodies, I studied it. And God made me that woman, but it didn't come from just looking at the poor examples of what, oh, I've never seen a successful marriage or a loving marriage, so there's not one out there. Well, you
Right.
defeated yourself before you even started. Getting into the word and really understanding and learning what God's will is for your marriage, what marriage looks like. And no marriage looks exactly the same.
Mhm.
We have different roles. This one may watch the children, and then this, we all kind of move around and move about in different kind of ways. But it's
Mhm.
the morals and the standards that we, as people of God, that we are abiding by. But within your family, as long as it's done in a godly, a righteous way, that's what matters. But the essence of who you are as a woman, of being a virtuous woman, being a wife, that's something that you have to, it comes from God. Just like a man being a upstanding godly man, that
Yes.
comes from God. So it's the way that the world does a thing, but it's only one way that God is going to accept and do his thing, and the world has their way, and you just have to determine what it is that you want. I can remember making a list of what at 15, 16 years old. I prayed and I made a list of what I wanted from my husband. And on that list, the first thing is that he was a God-fearing man. Is
Mhm.
that he was respectful, he was respectable, that he was patient, that he was kind, that he was a hard worker. Now, and I had a list of things. Not one time on that list did I talk about money. Not one time did I talk about his physical stature. Not one time did I talk about anything that was vain or that was worldly or that had nothing to do with his character. And I was
Yes, ma'am.
15, 16 years old. And that
Mhm.
comes from God. And I
Mhm.
also said on that list, I won't put anything on this list that I'm not willing to be myself. So
Mhm.
that wisdom only came from God, you
Mhm.
know, and that's what we have to get back to. You can do it the way the gurus and the
Mhm.
influences are doing it, the world way, or you can do it God's way.
That's right.
Right.
God's way is the right way. That's the
Always.
successful way. That's the
Always.
successful longevity.
Oh, and I
And
got
so,
and I got everything on that list.
Yeah.
yes,
Amen.
exactly.
Amen.
But but that's what people have to understand. In order for you to get those things, I mean, it comes from God. Marriage is
Yes.
from God.
Yes.
So I mean, why would we go anywhere else to get something that He created for His children? And that's
Exactly.
the part I don't understand. So, let's go into tip two:
Okay.
change for the better. What did you
Yes.
mean by change for the better?
Basically, what we were talking about earlier, in a sense that you always look to see how I can improve. How can I do
Mhm.
things in a better way, or a better light. Always doing self reflection, and doing the
Mhm.
inner work of just looking at yourself and making sure that, and it's for both men and women. Just doing the inner work and just looking at yourself and saying, hey, let me change for the better. The sad part is sometimes we know that we have things that are not up to par. We know, oh, I know I don't have the best attitude, or I know I don't always, acknowledge, my husband or my man in the way that I'm supposed to. And it's like, well, he just have to deal with it, or no, he doesn't have to deal with it. And that's why so many men are checking out, because it is a choice. And if I know that I'm going to be with someone and I have to interact with them, because here's the thing that a lot of people have to understand. There's a lot of things that maybe a man can do in a relationship with a woman, but the one thing that he can't avoid is interacting with her attitude. interacting with her thought process, interacting with her her demeanor, her her personality, her character. He cannot be in a relationship or marriage without interacting into that with that. So he is asking himself, do I want to deal with this for the rest of my life? Can I deal with this?
Yeah,
And a
that's
lot
good.
of times, it's going to be like, no, I can't, especially when we know that that person is not going to change for the better. So if they're not going to change for the better and actually say, okay, if I am bitter or hurt by things that happened in my past, I can't put that blame on you. You're not the reason why all these things happen. So let me change that and look at you and give you a fair shot, 100%, as a healed person, and then say, okay, hey, now let's try this thing and let's see if we can get somewhere with it. So that's basically the gist of, changing for the better.
That is awesome. And the last one, the last tip I want you to explain is be a cheerful giver. And I know we talked about that a little bit. A woman can't always be the taker, but explain what you meant by be a cheerful giver.
Well, basically, it comes from the Bible. God loves a cheerful giver. And I said that because it just seems like you were saying earlier, everyone wants to take. What can I get? What is he going to give me? What can he do for me? What has he done for me lately? What about, what have you done? And it's got to be someone that's saying, hey, I can give, not only just give, but give cheerfully. Here's the thing that I would tell my men as well. If you're with someone and that person's not willing to make a sacrifice for you, they're not willing to be giving to you, then do they really care about you? Do they really want to be with you? Because somebody that loves you, they're willing to sacrifice for you. They're willing to give to you. I remember a preacher said, the way a woman's treasure is where her money goes. If her money goes to these things, that's what she treasures. So it's amazing that she could do all these things for her homegirl or her girlfriend, but then when she gets a man, she don't want to do anything for him. So it's about saying, hey, if I can give to my homegirl, which that's fine, I should be able to give to my man too. And if something is stopping me from doing that, that's when I need to look and say, okay, what's going on? Maybe I need some healing in this area. Because if I want this person to love me and give to me, then I should be able to give back. And if I'm not, then something is going on that I need to heal. And that's why I just go back to healing being so important. Because that's the crux of making sure that you're able to give 100% to the person that you're with. And I really believe so many people are trying to have relationships on fear. They're not really coming from a place of love. They're scared that they're going to get their heart broken or whatever. And if that's the case, then don't love. Heal yourself first, because you can't love in fear. There was an old saying, scared money doesn't make money. Well, scared love doesn't make love. You gotta come from a place where you don't have fear in your heart if you want love. Because what people don't understand is you might desire something and then you have fear of something. But if that fear is stronger than your desire, then the fear is going to win out. And that's why a lot of times they're in these relationships and they fail, because they were more scared of that the relationship was going to fail than they had a belief that the relationship was going to actually last and work out to be something. So if you enter into a relationship in fear, leave, get out of it, because you're not ready. You should enter into that relationship, as my wife said, with high expectations, with love, and the belief and the expectation that things will turn out the way that you want to. And to piggyback on something that she said earlier about courtship, we were talking, and I personally believe that, a lot of times, going back to the world, we always want that person to, he needs to take me out and wine me and dine me and show me that, he wants me or what have you. And I really think we need to take it back to courtship, but this is something that I would propose. And that was that, why don't you go on the first 2, and I would recommend 3 dates that really doesn't require money at all. Go somewhere into a park and just meet and talk. Sit on a bench and just talk and get to know each other. Or meet for coffee at Starbucks, $5 coffee or what have you. That's not a huge expense. Really, if you are a valuable person or somebody that he sees value in, he's going to spend money on dates for you. He's going to wine you and dine you if he sees that value in you. So what's wrong with getting to know each other? That way you eliminate all of the intimacy and you really get to know the person. You're learning about each other. You're asking questions. You're talking. And then after maybe seeing each other, talking on the phone, that's another thing, not texting,
Right.
talking on the phone,
Right.
and seeing each other for about, 3 times in person, then you can make a determination. Okay, do we see enough in each other that we want to move forward, that we want to enter into a dating relationship? So to me, that's what courtship allows. It allows you to say, hey, let's just talk and let's just see if we have that connection. And if we don't, we can both go our separate ways. People won't be hurt as much. They'll understand, hey, this was just a filling out process. And if it doesn't work out, I go my way, you go yours. Nobody spent a whole bunch of money and feel, hurt that I feel like I got used. No woman has laid with a man and then all of a sudden he decides to go a different direction and she felt like I gave my body to him prematurely. Get to know the person. Go out on a few, non-committive, non-financial dates and just talk.
Get to know each other.
Talk.
Yeah.
I love that. I
That's
love
a
that.
good, yes, that's a really, really, really good point because I think people need to understand that when they're dating, you're really not even dating yet. You're just trying to get to know people, and there is no need for a commitment, and it's okay if you one or both of you all choose that this is not something you want to continue to pursue. It's not something to be hurt over. It's something to say, okay, well, you enjoyed each other's time, and you are able to move on because guess what? You didn't tie your hearts into something.
Exactly.
You simply just got to know, just to uncover whether this is something you wanted to pursue further. So there was no need to even, saying, before we even enter into like a real courtship phase, this is just I'm getting to know you as a friend to see if you're a quality person, because that person may be better off as a friend and you all might be great friends.
Right.
And it just wouldn't work, in a relationship, but you want the best for them and you both want them to go on to bigger and better things. And the faster you get through that phase, then you can move on to the next person that maybe may come in your path. So that not committing their heart, like it says, to guard your heart above all things. Like that's really the key to a lot of this stuff, is people's heart getting tied into the wrong stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a quick question that's off the record before we go into your blog post.
Okay.
It's about the fear that you were talking about. What do you think about couples that's about to get married that require prenuptial agreements? Do you think that relationship is based on fear, and should people get married with those type of agreements in place?
I do think it's based on fear. I mean, because that's why you're basically protecting yourself or trying to protect yourself. A lot of times that's not a relationship that God put together or that was done in love. So people are trying to protect their assets, and that's understandable if they have a lot to protect. But you have to ask yourself, why do I feel like I need that? If I'm with somebody and I know that they love me genuinely for who I am and all of those things, then I can, I should feel that way. I do understand though, if you are somebody that do have a lot and feel like people are at you because of what you have as opposed to who you are, then yeah, that would be a concern. But I really would ask myself, why would I need if I'm going to marry this person, why would I need a prenuptial agreement? What is it about, this that I feel like I can't trust this person 100% with my heart and know that if things weren't to work out, we still will come up with an amicable way to, take care of things or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, we have to look at that, but you're certainly right. It really shouldn't be in marriages, but I do understand that some people do have that fear, but they really need to look and say, okay, am I really entering in this with someone that I truly feel loves me and cares about me, alone and first and foremost.
That's good. That is so good. So I'm so excited because we're getting to the questions. We had a few questions from some ladies in the tribe, and I have some questions about your blog post. So um I really wanted for you to answer these questions last time. So I'm so excited. So I know one of your blog posts, you put down three major turnoffs for men. What are three major turnoffs for men? And you probably mentioned it throughout, the live, but go ahead and let us know. What do you think that is?
Yeah, I think we covered a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
One was superficial, being superficial, but
Mm-hmm.
in talking about that, that's why I talked about basically the traits that we spoke about, which is being supportive, being unselfish. Those things go beyond the surface. You can't just be a surface person and be unselfish. That's an inner trait, or somebody that's supportive that comes from inner. So one of them was being superficial. The other one was being unselfish, being someone that was a giving person. And I think we covered that. And I'm forgetting what the third one is. Hold on. I believe it's about self-improvement. Self-improvement. Because that was something that we talked about as well. Which I guess I was trying to cover that, as well, but we did in a sense, because self-improvement is very important. And that's a lot of times men really are attracted to women that really work on themselves. That's why when women are in the gym, that's a very attractive thing, because they see, oh man, she's willing to, come in here and sweat to get better and things of that nature. But whenever a woman is trying to, and discipline too, whenever a woman is, doing the work, and I mean, it's easy to, and I get it. We do see you in the work that you're doing out here, in an entrepreneurial way or in corporate America, and those things are valued. But it's not just that, and I get it. That's what a lot of women were told years ago. Hey, if you go and you work hard and you build yourself up and you show that you're bringing this to the table, then a man will want you. And that is a part of it, to know that, hey, my woman can go out here and make some money, or she can take care of herself. That's great. But it's not the only thing. We also want to know that, hey, she's supported. She's somebody that's positive and peaceful. So just being somebody that go out and work hard is not going to be enough for a lot of these guys. And it's not that they're intimidated by your by the success that you had. It's just like I was saying before, if they don't see those other traits in you, if all they see is you all about money and all about work, then that's not going to help him raise his kids. That's not going to make him happy when, that's not going to cook him a meal or make him happy when he's going through a tough day. Right. So it has to be about more than just, oh, I can go out and bring the bag home. It has to be other inner traits.
And I also think that a lot of that, with the whole going out and being successful and being an entrepreneur and, crushing it and killing it, from what I can see, men don't have a problem with that. It just becomes a problem when that person has done that so much that she's now so independent that she doesn't even need her man. When a woman say, I don't need a man, I just want him, I don't believe in that. I believe that we actually need each other.
Right.
I believe that God put us together for a reason.
Yes.
That was a very divine reason and purpose for us to fulfill purpose and mission and to do the work he wants us to do.
Exactly.
But when you're so independent and it's really prideful. When you're so prideful, you're almost taking any of the credit away from God.
Exactly.
Almost as if you've done it for yourself.
Exactly.
But when you are successful and you still see the value in your spouse and you don't kind of hold it over his head that I'm independent, I don't really even need you, I can be doing this on my own. Again, that's that negative energy, that negative spirit of you basically saying, I don't need my husband. And that is just not of God. And then you wonder why he feels emasculated. He feels like, well, I'm not really needed here. Maybe I'll go somewhere else. Now you're mad because he didn't went somewhere else.
Where he feel valued.
Right. And that's very important. I was going to point that out. It also says to him, you don't value me.
Right.
And so if you don't value me, why would I be here? Why would I stay here? And that's what a lot of them are speaking. And they're speaking it really off the top. Oh, I'm doing this for myself or whatever. And they can already hear, I won't have, value here. I won't be appreciated here. They want to be somewhere where they're valued and they're appreciated. That's what that man wants, more importantly, some other things that are important to him is to be valued, to be appreciated. And another thing I have to say to my women that's out here working and bringing the bag in, that's fine. And that's great. It's just sometimes I wonder, it's like, You know, they'll say, oh, I don't want to be with nobody that make less than me. And I often wonder, like, are you saying that being with him is going to subtract from the money you make? It's like,
are we in the same household?
Yeah.
I never understood that either.
You know, more than likely the man is going to pay, you know, bills and things of that nature, right? Which will mean it's more money, and you will be able to accomplish more things. And this is what God wanted us to do. God has never been about us being separate, you know, or being apart from each other. Even if you make a lot of money, that's, you know, he didn't want the man to be that way and act that way, or the woman to act that way. It's about you coming together, have these things that God has blessed you with, now sharing that with someone, expanding your family, and having, you know, a family to share those values and properties with, and teach them those same values. That's what it's really about. If it's just for you and your own selfish whims and own selfish things, then how is that of God? God is not a selfish God. So if we really are about God, then we would want to and seek out to have that relationship and that love and that marriage, so that, hey, if I'm blessed, then I can bless my husband and bless my family with the things that I have, and we can expand what it is that I've done.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm going to ask you one more question about your blog post, and then I'm going to go into the questions from the tribe. How can women, because I hear so many stories about women running into all these different types of guys. How can they identify a mature man? How would she know? Just off rip.
She was mature herself. She knew.
There it is. There it is. I alluded to it earlier, and I think, and I'm glad you brought that up, but I alluded to it earlier. And people have to understand that, you know, you are what you attract. You're going to attract, you know, like attracts like. And really, they don't realize that they meet a lot of the men they meet because of where they are in their relationship life, where they are in their, you know, spiritual life, as far as, you know, their growth. So I'll put it this way, and I just have to break it down. This, you know, I know we're talking to Christian ladies, but I have to, you know, get a little secular for a second. You know, I take it like this. If I'm going down the street and I have my radio on, let's just say 103.3, and the person next to me also comes, you know, next to me, and they have their radio on 103.3, then we're hearing the same information at the same time. We're on the same signal. But if somebody comes and they're on 104.5, so to speak, then it's a different signal. People have to understand there's a vibration that you give off. And all you're doing is meeting people that's on that same vibration. Now, when you work on yourself, when you improve those things and heal and stuff like that, your vibration goes to another level. That's when you'll find more mature men. That's when you'll find people that's really, you know, and it's to say this, there's some things that you may need to work on yourself. Because once you do, that's when you'll find better mates. You'll find better people to be with. Because it's the signal that you're giving off. And let me say this. Even if, and this is one thing people don't understand, even if you're giving off a signal that you have fear, you know, fear of being hurt, the people that want to hurt people can sense that. And those are the people that's going to be attracted to you, because they know that you're wounded. So, of course, they're going to be the ones that's going to step in front of the guy that might be a person that's really in a better position and say, oh, no, man, let me talk to her, because I see what's going on. And he just wants to continue to hurt. So, you know, hurt this person and take them down. So you have to basically work on yourself and heal yourself. And when you do, you'll start to meet different people. They will be more mature. They will be more focused. They will be more godly. People don't realize it. When you do this, there are people that you are walking past every day, maybe in your job or you know, the gym that you go to, that won't even speak to you right now. Work on yourself a little bit. All of a sudden, that person will say, hey, you go to this gym? I've never seen you before. I don't see you in here. It's the vibration that you have, you know, that energy you give off. When you increase or take that energy to the next level, you'll see changes in the people that you interact with.
Yeah, and I've actually seen it firsthand with you know, the work that D'Artagnan does with his clients, and they are starting to see, you know, changes in who they're attracting. You know, she you know, it's, and then it's also, I wanted to point out that it's also about the attraction, but also pay attention to what you entertain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're meeting certain guys and you know that they are not viable options for somebody that you would date, why are you wasting your time?
Right.
People should not, everybody should not have access to you, you know. I have talked to some women who date several men at one time. How can you truly successfully get to know each one of these men when your attention is divided in 5 different ways? You know, and as a woman, we are more emotional beings. So we need to be able to lock in so that we can use our discernment. But when we're dating around and doing this kind of worldly situation, we're really allowing time wasters into our life. And time wasters are people that I believe are not viable options for somebody you should be dating, and they're just wasting your time. So if you would really lock in and get very intentional about what you're wanting to do, you're wanting to have a husband, your husband. And so if that is the intention, then you need to block out all of these people who you know are not a part of that, you know? And then, because again, we actually can, you know, do more healing and do more work on ourselves to attract better. But any man can come up to you. But it is what you allow. Only that person can gain access into having your information, your telephone number, can talk to you if you let them. So that falls on you. You know, when these women are saying, all these men and they just wasting my time, well, you allow them to waste your time. When you know that this person, you all do not click, you're not equally yoked, you don't jive together, don't waste your time. So you know what? You seem like you're a decent guy. I hope that you know, find the person that you're looking for. I don't really feel like we're a good fit, but I wish the very best for you, and then move on about your business. Because God is very intentional. When He tells us to do a thing, He don't mince words with that. He tells you in your spirit through the word, you get your confirmation, and He meant exactly what He said. What He said. So it's to us to just be obedient, and we have to do the same thing. When we meet people, we have to be very intentional. Why is this person in my life? Is this something I'm supposed to be learning? Okay, is he a valuable person that I can see myself married to? Okay, if he's not, well then we moving forward. You know, we're not wasting our time. People have been in relationships for 10 years. And it's like, I gave him 10 years of my life. No, you wasted 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times God is telling you, in this.
Yeah.
But no, I gave him 5 years. 7 years later, in this.
And that's good, because a lot of women, because they've been with them so long, they just continue because they don't want to let go of the years they already spent. So they continue in the misery, and they know they're supposed to leave. They keep staying and keep staying, and so that 10-year turn into 20.
Yes.
And you know,
yes,
it's crazy, but that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so you actually just answered the question from one of our tribe members. She was saying she is putting herself out there and men are only looking for hookups. What should she do? But you guys, you know, just basically, you know, answer that question. So she has some work that she needs to do within herself.
Evaluate.
Yeah.
Right. And it also goes back to thoughts, you know, because a lot of times that's the predominant thought is that, oh, well, all these men just want to hook up, you know, because we have to be careful about allowing ourselves to let these catchphrases and these sayings that people throw out, you know, get into our system and dominate our system. That's why we have to be rooted in, you know, God and His word and the things that He wants for us. Because a lot of times that's what happens in the world. We hear, oh, well, all men want to do is hook up. and blah, 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 and all of that. And so that's what we think we're going to have. So if it gets into our mind, it gets into our head and into our spirit. And now we believe it. So then we think that every guy that approaches, oh, that's all he wants. So that's why I put out the blogs that I did, to give people something positive to read that is not talking about hooking up and not talking about doing those things, but talking about building yourself up in ways that to where you are saying to someone, these are the qualities that I want in a man. This is the type of man that I want. This is the type of relationship that I want, because that's really what it's going to be about. And like my wife was saying earlier, that's why courtship is so important. You have to ask these questions of that person that you're trying to be in a relationship with. You can't be scared to ask the questions of the information you need to know, so you can determine, and is this a person for me? Should I be spending my time with this person? Do I need to go forward? We have to ask these questions. If someone has a problem with asking questions, hey, you need to work on that. If you have a problem being asked questions, what is it that you're trying to hide? What is it that you're afraid to be, to answer a question of? So that's the thing that we have to understand, is that this is how you get to the root of it. And yes, it will run off some men, but 9 times out of 10 is running off the men you don't want.
Exactly.
Stay are the people that don't mind you asking the questions, because they like, I'm glad you asking questions because I have questions to ask. I'm glad you're intrigued to learn more because I'm intrigued to learn more. I'm glad that you want to just sit and talk because I want to sit and talk. That's really what it's about. We have to get over this fear of, oh, I don't want to let this FOMO, fear of losing out and stuff like that. I don't want to lose out on this guy, that guy. If he's not for you, who cares? It's okay. Let it go. So at the end of the day, you got to say, all right, if I'm looking for the person that's for me, then they're not going to have a problem with me asking questions. They're not going to have a problem with the questions that I ask. They're not going to have a problem with anything that I have to say, because this is what they're looking for. They're looking for that mature relationship with somebody that's serious, not somebody that just want to play around.
Right. I love that. Us as women, we can't be so afraid to, run men off because we're so afraid to be alone. I think that's the biggest issue. A lot of women don't want to be alone. So they, oh, well, let me just, play these games with these men so they won't be alone. I think that's one of the things that I see the most. Women don't like to be by themselves. And so they deal with so many things just to have, somebody around. So I'm going to go into a two-part questions. This is from a married woman in the tribe, and I can't wait to hear this answer. So, what do you all think about girls and guys trips as it relates to biblical marriage? This was a question inside the tribe. What do you think about girls and guys trips as it relates to biblical marriage?
Okay, well, I guess I'll take this one.
Okay.
I do marriage coaching, so.
Yes.
I think that you just in your friendships in general, you have to really know what type of friends you have. It's funny that you asked this question because we just listened to something on the radio today, and actually we have a friend. She's actually was my husband's friend. She and her husband, and then we met on our wedding day, and so she has Sisterlocks as well, and now she does the Sisterlocks. I'm her mentor. I love her. We're like this, and so we are now have become very good friends, and they are godly people. They are wonderful people. So definitely, she was doing my hair yesterday, and we were talking about going on a trip together, just married couples, and of course that's cool and that's perfect. However, we know the couple that we're dealing with. You really need to evaluate the relationships with people. People have, you think folks got up and up situations, and some people have alternative lifestyles. Sometimes people are into letting other people into their marriages and all this other kind of stuff. And we know that goes outside of the guidelines of what God wants us to have in our marriage. It's not conducive to us having trust. It's not conducive to people not feeling jealousy and different things like that. So I feel like as a couple, as a married couple, you definitely need to be transparent with each other. To that, if you don't feel comfortable with something, that as a couple, that you just say, well, we're not going to let that entire marriage. But usually, if you're dealing with people of kindred spirit, you're equally yoked. I don't see anything wrong with that. Me personally, I just feel like with any, and that's not just with married couples. That's like with your friends. My husband, he has his friends. When we got married, he now not supposed to not have any of his friends. He has his family. I have my family. So we're all family now. So we all know our family. We all know our friends. And when something just doesn't work for your marriage, no matter what it is, whether it's going on a certain vacation or hanging out with certain people, then you have to be transparent, have those conversations, during your pillow talks or in your house, and you have to really determine what works in the guidelines of your marriage and what's going to work best for you.
And also to add to that, this is when you pray, to ask God to say, hey, God, reveal to me if this is a good thing to do, if this is something that is, for you, and you can support this or what have you. And a lot of times that's when God would show you, whether this is someone that, or a group of people that's worthy to spend your time with in that setting or not. So that's another thing, we should always be praying and understanding of asking God, hey, is this something, these people are, is this a good thing for us to do? So we need to also pray about it as well and just ask for discernment when it comes to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I love that. And the second part of the question is, what do you all think about hanging out a couple? This is biblical marriage. Hanging out a couple of times a month with your friends at a club if you're married.
Wow. At a club. Yeah. Now, the question: Were they talking about? Were they talking about as a couple hanging out at a club, or were they talking about?
I believe she was talking about separately. Like,
Separately.
would it be okay if like your husband go out with their friends to maybe a club, or would it be okay if I go with my girlfriends, to a club and you're married?
I think my wife has.
Yeah, I like I said, I think that it kind of just goes in line. It's kind of piggybacking off of the other question. I feel like, we're not really club people. We
Mhm.
do like going out and having a good time. We love like little lounges or different things like that. I think we've gotten that out of the club era of life.
Jazz country.
We like jazz and different things like that. So, and just like little outings, dinner, and different things like that. But again, I feel like that kind of speaks to your marriage and you communicating what you're comfortable with and what's going to work for your marriage. Me, I am 100% good with my husband and the friends that he have, and and my husband is 100% happy with me and my family and my friends that I hang out with, and we go out to dinner and we do different things and stuff like that. So it has a lot to do with just communication, trust, knowing the people who are around you guys, and just having that open lines of communication about that. If there's anything in your marriage that doesn't work and that is an issue of concern, that you should be able to talk to your spouse about that and come to a resolution of, okay, this doesn't work for me. Maybe if y'all were able to do this in this setting. We never have had any issues with anything like that. But in your marriage, just for somebody who may have an issue like that, like, you gotta get really transparent. When it comes to communication, it's no time to, I'm not gonna say that because that hurt that person's feeling. Now your delivery needs to be a delivery of kindness. It needs to be a delivery of coming in peace. Because sometimes it's
Mhm.
not what you say, it's how you say it. And I think if you come to your spouse with the right spirit, in a spirit of love and a spirit of, I'm doing what I want us to do what's best for our marriage, then you all should be able to come to a resolution, come to a conclusion about what needs to be done in the best interest of your marriage or in the best interest of your family. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're responsible for. You know, if people don't like something, then
Mhm.
they don't like it. You know, at the end of the day, God has entrusted you to make sure that you stay cohesive and that you stay in line with the vows that you took and with the standards that you hold as a family.
Yeah.
I love that. And on that note, let's talk about marriage coaching teamwork. This is something that you and your wife founded together. Can you explain that to us and just tell us exactly what that entails?
So marriage coaching teamwork really was birthed out of D'Artagnan's relationship coaching.
Mhm.
His relationship coaching is basically helping people, like you said, mainly women, helping them to figure out why they're not having successful relationships that lead to marriage. And
Mhm.
so his mission is to help people to work on themselves, to build a foundation, a strong, solid foundation in relationship, especially in our community as Black people, because we have not, unfortunately, been able, a lot of us, to see um, good representations of relationships and marriages.
Mhm.
And from that, God just spoke to me. I was like at some taco place in Birmingham after doing hair, and he just laid on my heart that this is a great, I already knew it was a great mission for us to, for me to support my husband in doing what God had him to do years before we even met. But God just laid it on my heart for me to do the marriage coaching. Basically, I've been coaching married people for over 12 years. I mean, I'm a hairstylist by trade, and I take a lot of responsibility and pride in being a good person to listen to my people. Like most women know, the hair, your
A
salon
therapy session.
setting is therapeutic. You don't just get your hair done. You women, this is a place where you can, express yourself, talk about your marriage, talk about the kids, talk about your problems. We cry together, we pray together, we figure stuff out together. And so I always tell people that really has just been a way for God to allow me to do what He wants me to do, which is to be an encourager. I'm really an evangelist, and evangelist is someone who brings the word with them wherever they go. And so
Mhm.
that's like what God has led me to do. That's one of the gifts that He's given me to perform on this earth. And during this time, I always have wanted to see people with healthy marriages. Of course, healthy relationships that lead into marriage.
Mhm.
And so God just laid it on my heart one day, and then I called my hubby and I told him, I said, God just laid on my heart for me to start, coaching people in marriage coaching, like officially, even though I've been doing it for a long time.
Mhm.
And that's how it was kind of birthed out of that. And it's where I pretty much help people that are in premarital, that need premarital coaching. So to help them set a strong foundation. All these really tough questions that we talk about, they need to be talked about. We
Mhm.
had premarital counseling before we got married, and we saw a lot of value in that, to sit down
Mhm.
and talk about some of those things, because you have butterflies and you just in
Mhm.
love. And I can remember the pastor asking, what are all the things that you love about each other, and we had this long list of things, and then he was like, oh, so what about the things that you feel like you can work on? And like each of us are like mustering to get like one thing, and like I just can't think of anything. and and it's beautiful. It's wonderful to see that honeymoon phase, and to love all the
Mhm.
things. And I can truly say that I still can say that there's so many wonderful things about my husband that I can't complain about anything. We are able to work through, the issues that come up. But you do have to be honest about some things. Some people, they get married and then find out 5 years down the line that the husband doesn't want children, but the wife wants children. Well, that's a deal breaker. So
Mm-hmm.
in premarital coaching, I'm basically trying to help coach these team members, because that's kind of what I call the marital couples, is that we're all in a team and we want to help lay a good foundation for marriage. And then I do marital coaching, which is you're married, you could be married for 1 year or 20 years. And let's just say that your marriage is starting to break down. Maybe your foundation wasn't good from the beginning, or maybe it's deteriorating because of whatever, X, Y, and Z. Maybe there's some infidelity issues that's come up, but I'm helping them. I'm coaching them to a loving, healthy relationship, bringing back the reason why they got married, coming to the determination of, you know, I'm sorry, coming to the determination that we have to work as a team. And so I'm coaching them through the issues or the challenges that they're going through. And then I do the post marital coaching, which is for people who marriages have basically dissolved. They're either separated or divorced, and they have children. And what people need to realize is that we want to basically not have our children to have to heal from extreme trauma and damage. You know, divorce already um, puts a blow into the children. And so we need to do damage control. We need to be able to at least show them what that we can still love and respect each other, even though we're not together, or even though we've moved on into another marriage. Those children, you need to have a very good environment where they feel loved, where they feel supported. Um, because I also have been a co-parent before. You know, I raised 5 children, and they lived in the home um, with me and my late husband. So I understand that aspect of raising children and trying to basically show them successful marriage even after a marriage has ended. And the other part of the postmarital coaching that I do is also for grieving um, widows, women who are widows. So maybe they are trying to cope with their new normal, and they've come to the place that they want companionship again, or they're trying to basically work their way through this grieving process. Well, I coach them through the postmarital coaching in that way as well.
I think that is awesome because I don't really see that out there. Women who have have lost their
Yes,
husbands and become widows, especially like young women. I'm like, where do they go? For
exactly.
help and
Yeah.
healing. I feel like that is so important, especially when in the forefront. Nene, lost her husband, and just to imagine that happening to a person, I know is so traumatic because I think I talked to you, Michelle, about something I had went through recently, and just how it's just like a dark, it's like an unimaginable feeling, that come over you. So you have to have someone in your life to help you get through you know that period in your life. So I love that you do that. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I'm gonna have to have you guys back.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my
definitely, definitely,
goodness.
definitely.
I mean, we need some time. I can't wait until you guys come back. We're gonna be doing some things, hopefully, next year in person. And I would love somehow for you guys to be a part of it.
Oh
You
yeah,
guys
Yes.
bring so
definitely,
much valuable information. I love
definitely.
getting the information from a male perspective because we always hear from the woman's perspective, but it's always good for women to hear males.
Exactly.
To
Exactly.
listen to males and hear their
Yeah.
thoughts and understand exactly where they're coming from. They don't have to guess. You can kind of know. So unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much. But before you go, I want you to give me each two qualities of a good relationship, and then go ahead and give us all your social media information and where they can find you.
Okay. Well, I think the two for me would be definitely communication.
Okay.
That's so important. You have to have that in your relationship, and
Mhm.
good positive communication. Not fussing at each other or talking bad to each other, but actually hearing each other active listening, as they would say. Also trust, and it goes back to what was asked about, the trips and stuff like that. A lot of that is it's about trust. When you trust your partner, you know what you have, then oftentimes, most of those issues are not an issue because your partner's going to know, hey, this is not a good thing for me. So let me remove myself. So communication and trust is definitely my two.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your
My two will be transparency. Um, I feel like when you get to a certain point of maturity, that you want to be transparent. We're not playing games. We're putting it all on the line. We know that we have strengths, but we also know that there are some weaknesses or some areas that we need to work in. And until we acknowledge those things, we really can't work through them. And I think because me and my husband always talks about relationships and marriage, we really kind of talk out the things that could be issues. So transparency in relationship is very, very important, to be honest first to yourself, and of course be honest to God, and then be honest to the person that you're with. Honesty is very, very important. Then the second part I feel like is having grace and mercy for each other. I feel like sometimes we're so easily pointing the big finger at each other, that we should just have more grace and mercy for each other. We should realize that we're in this together. If we as a team, when we both win, we all win, we succeed. So it's not a competition against each other. So that just means that we need to be loving and we need to be gracious for each other before we jump to conclusions or jump to become going from 0 to 100. We need to realize that, hey, this person we've made a commitment to, we love, and we have to show the same grace and mercy that that person want to show to us.
That is great, and I love all three, all four of those, and I love the grace and mercy because that is true. We have to have grace and mercy, for our spouse,
Mm-hmm.
and the transparency and communication and trust. That is key,
Yes.
in any marriage. So go ahead and let us know where everyone can find you, your website, your social media information. Do you have any upcoming events?
Yes, for me, it's singleblackdatingtips.com. That's basically my primary connectivity spot. I do have a Twitter as well, single black dating tips, I believe, and also I'm on Instagram and Facebook. We do have single black dating tips page on Facebook. Bless you. On Facebook as well. So basically, if you look up single black dating tips, you'll find me pretty much in all those social media realms.
And we also manufacture organic hair care products, so you can find 100% vegan, organic shampoo, leave-in conditioners, everything that you can think of at BORN hair products with the S.com. And you can also find us on Facebook under MDW Natural Hair Services, as well on IG under MDW Natural Hair Services, and Twitter, MDW Natural Hair. And then for the marriage coaching teamwork, that can be found at marriagecoachingteamwork.com.
I absolutely love it. Power couple. You guys working together. I know you guys love working together. So I think that's great. You guys are a great example of what a godly marriage look like. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to join the Wife Tribe today. And like I said, we're definitely going to have you back. We put up all their contact information. So if you want to reach them, there's the information. So thank you guys so much. Any final thoughts, Jessica, before we go?
No, just thank you all for your tips, your advice. Y'all go ahead, follow their blogs, support their products, and we will see them in an in-person event. So we appreciate all your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, you guys, and until next time, be blessed.
All right, same to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.